Welcome back to the CuttyandGovy Show. There's Govy, Cutty, and we're in our brisk podcast studio. They have absolutely cooled it down so far today, but they just shut the door. Govy, first thing I want to hit is the Olympics with Tom Cruise jumping off of the building, and everybody was like amazed by it. And he had a wire. I didn't think it was a big deal. He came down, he had this wire, safety wire the whole way. It wasn't like he was parachuting or he was doing anything so spectacular. And they made such a big deal of it. And for him, it's promotion for his next Mission Impossible, whatever the hell he's going to do. But the ending ceremonies were nice. The Olympics are over. America did better than we thought they would do, right?
Well, in some events, in some, but Tom Cruise, first of all, he's 63 years old. So
I would do it.
Everybody, by the way, someone of his magnitude, they have their own stuntmen, several stuntmen. This guy jumps out of an airplane by himself at 63 years old. I mean, somebody has to say, Father Time, something bad could happen. Why are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Who cares?
I want to know why he's doing it. I mean, And by the way, I like his old movies. I'm not into this Mission Impossible stuff. Give me like, Born on the 4th of July. Yeah. Give me Rain Man. Give me like some like characters. What is it, A Few Good Men or
right?
Give me stuff like that.
So then, on the economic side, let's move over. This Brian Nichols, he totally recreated Chipotle Mexican grill. They had salmonella or some kind of food disaster. They brought this guy in for crisis management. He totally revamped the company, and he just left Chipotle to go to Starbucks because Starbucks is a disaster. And it just amazes me, a guy that's making so much money at Chipotle, how do you poach a guy like that? How do you even approach a guy like that and think that you have a shot that he's going to leave Chipotle where he's the king?
Money.
But
lots of money.
Isn't he making a lot of money at Chipotle?
You know what? You never know what a lot of money is. Like, let's put it this way. Starbucks a year ago was what, at 105, 110 right. The stock?
Yeah.
It went down to what, 68 in that neighborhood? So what did it go up the day he took office?
It went up 24 points, everything it lost in the year.
Okay, so what's 24 points to Schultz?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it went up billions. But, I mean, they paid him $100 million to switch teams.
So if you went up to Schultz beforehand and said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you're going to make a couple billion, and you got to give $100 million to this guy. Do you do it?
Well, the way he turned around Chipotle, because I follow it, was that he did all this innovative technology, and he's going to have to do it at Starbucks, because Starbucks is like a Larry David show where you go in there and there's I
don't even go in there. I buy it at the grocery store in the K-cups, but I will refuse to go into a Starbucks.
Well, like down here in Boca, these two little old ladies are planning their afternoon about going to a Starbucks. They're getting dressed, they're talking about their outfits, and they're going to go to the Starbucks and they're going to order these super complicated drinks. It's a 15-minute ordering process. I'll take the Grande Macamino, but it's got to have only 2 sprinkles of cinnamon in it.
And a splash of vanilla.
And the foam has to be this. And they're back there for 15 minutes making this one drink. And it's just absolutely crazy, if you're in a hurry. So you won't even go, what do you do, the drive-through?
I don't do any of that because I won't go in there. Because
my question that I've always had is, why in the drive-thru you can order anything you want and it goes fast, but yet when you go in the store you wait forever for your drink? How is that possible?
Maybe they're taking too much time writing names on cups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, why can't they have a line? Because I would go in more. Why can't they have a line for the simple guy that wants a cup of black coffee? Like, why does that guy?
You're a problem solver,
no,
Govy. Why don't they pay you $100 million to take over this company?
Why can't they go up to the guy that
You're
wants?
saying lower the price, coffee over here, and you want some super complicated drink, it's over there.
I want the guy
Two
that
lines.
says $4, step to the right, like the soup Nazi on
Right.
Seinfeld. Like black cup of coffee, step to the right. Why should that guy who wants a cup of black coffee have to stand behind some grande
agree.
frappuccino? Like it's like they're spending their lunch hour doing that. Just
I go through the drive-through every day, and
you have nothing but time on your hands.
no, this is at 5:30 in the morning.
How long of a wait do you have at 5:30 in the
No,
morning?
it's fast. The drive-through is fast at 5:30 on the way to the gym. And I'm typically behind some 5 to 7-year-old car. And I'm watching them pile the bags in the car. 4 to 6 coffees. And they're getting 2 to 3 bags of Danish or whatever they're getting. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, how are these people affording this? The car payment is like not even what they're spending a day in this line. I mean, they're spending 78.
You drink a cup of coffee before you go to the gym?
Yeah.
Boy, doesn't that like get your belly a little gurgly
Yeah.
as you're on that as you're on that elliptical?
I want to get it done.
I wouldn't
so
want to be standing behind you on that elliptical.
No.
Hey, you have some like little coffee thing. Wow.
I want to get it done as fast and as efficiently as I can.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
But I always have it with me on my treadmill. It's sitting right here on my treadmill, and I get it with the almond milk. My son, one of the frat boys, got me on the
you
almond
ever have
milk.
to pause your machine?
No. But there are a bunch of guys I know that stop in the middle.
That's pretty good.
No, I go all the way through, and I hold it to the end.
All right, so I gotta bring up Kamala Harris. I gotta
All right, we're jumping right into politics here. We're 6 minutes and 39 minutes in the show.
I just gotta ask. I mean, because now we have literally she's jumping sides. Like it's unbelievable.
Right.
So like one of the signs of a true leader is that when something happens, spontaneous, before you weigh in on it, like on the subject, you got to like get the information. Just don't shoot from the hip because you don't get that back again. So like Kamala Harris, she has like, let me give you some of the things that she's done. It could be Afghanistan. She was the last person in the room with Joe. She was there for that fiasco. We're just yesterday, by the way, it was the 3-year anniversary of us pulling out. Did you see the parade Afghanistan did with all the stuff we left behind? That's Kamala Harris. Second thing, Jussie Smollett. The guy claims he got jumped by 2 MAGA-wearing hats in Chicago in a polar vortex, 35 below zero, because he wanted a Subway sandwich at 2 in the morning, and she immediately jumps right to Jussie Smollett's side, saying how bad this right wing, the Proud Boys and this whole thing. She was wrong on that. The riots in Minnesota, she immediately jumps on that and starts bailing out these people, thinking it's minor. The St. Louis thing with Brown, again with that. Not to mention that she was the czar of the border and all that. It's like, do you want this person that like shoots from the hip? Like, how about Israel? How about all of a sudden she like says, okay, I want Israel to, I want them to end this war. Can you do that for me? Can you end this war that no one has seemed to solve in 300 years? Like, please, can you solve it?
Well, this is why I think Donald Trump can't debate her. Huge mistake. I was the one that said Joe Biden shouldn't debate.
Yes.
Now I'm saying Donald Trump should not debate Kamala Harris because, number one, don't cry about it, folks. The press is on her side. I'm sick of everybody moaning and groaning. The press is unfair. Forget it. It's done. It's a rigged deal. The press is on her side. Don't cry about it.
But he has to take a debate. I mean, you have to.
He can't debate her. He cannot debate her. She will get up there and just lie and lie and lie, and it just won't matter. It won't matter. And Donald Trump, have you ever seen the Rocky 3 with Mr. T, the guy that wears all the gold chains, where he like loses his mind and like in the ring, when Rocky whatever, and he like loses his mind? Donald Trump in a debate, they'll do a Saturday Night Live skit over this, will lose his cool, lose his mind. He will go crazy. Yes, he can't debate her.
All he has to do is ask her a question. He doesn't have to do a debate. He could say to her,
can he? You can't ask a question.
Yes, you
How
can.
can he ask a question?
One question. Come on, could you tell me the difference between inflation
No,
and
the
deflation?
moderator asked the question. Trump can't ask
I know,
her
but
a
he
question.
can turn around and say, I got a real quick question. Come on, do you know the difference between inflation and deflation? Can you tell the American people? She would be like a deer in the headlights. I don't think she knows the difference.
I can tell you her answer.
What would be her answer?
Her answer would be, well, in the cause of inflation, we can have deflation because inflation and deflation go together in the inflation deflation sequence.
All right,
That's how she will
That's
answer
my whole
it.
point. All you have to do is make her comment,
But
and
look,
it's over.
Look,
it's over.
Let's be practical. He can't debate her. She will literally deny every single thing that's on tape and claim that she ever made. Kill fracking, she'll deny it. Get rid of ICE, she'll deny it. He will look like a stunad. He will not look good. He will lose his cool. He is much better off not debating. She's never doing an interview. There's 82 days left.
She did. Did you see the first interview that she agreed to?
When is it?
It's, believe this or not, it's her vice president, Walz, is interviewing her.
Oh, come on.
Now, come on. Now, is that an insult to the American people?
Yeah, I mean,
and that's not an interview.
She's not doing an interview.
It's a rope-a-dope.
And that's
She's
Walt.
rope-a-doping the
That's
American
Waltz,
people.
WALZ, no T.
Right. The guy who was, I'm telling you, he's a Nazi. Now, do you notice, I want to just say one thing. There's a big difference between calling somebody a Nazi and calling someone Hitler. Everybody that calls Trump Hitler is the worst person who has ever walked on the face of the earth. So if that's true that he's the worst person to go, when you hear politicians calling Trump Hitler and Congress people calling him Hitler, why can't some wackadoo out there, like the one that tried to shoot him in Butler, Pennsylvania, why can't his defense be, you told me that that's Hitler? Now, shouldn't he get a medal for killing the worst person who ever lived, that ever walked the face of the earth? I mean, that could be like, hey, you brainwashed me. All I hear all the time is Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. You should be giving me an award to take Hitler out.
Why does he have that moniker on him? I mean, I almost think he's Jewish because his wife, Melania, is like a Jewish mother who will not let her son, Barron, go to college without her being by his side. I mean, she is like all over this kid. He's 6'8" old. She's like a Jewish mother. It's unbelievable.
What do you think about Barron helping out
I think it's a great idea. Barron Trump should go on the campaign trail. He's a good-looking guy. He's going to college next year. For every time Donald Trump has a rally, Barron Trump, the 18-year-old, going to college. We don't know what college yet. I heard New York, NYU. I heard that's where he's going, or Columbia. Because Melania wants him to live in Trump Tower so she can be close to him. I mean, it's ridiculous. Let your kid go. I let all my kids go. Their moms let them go.
And he has Secret Service now.
Right, he has Secret Service. Like, how's a date work for a guy like that? You're 18 years old. Like, if he's having sex with a girl and he's going to have plenty of girls after him, like, is the Secret Service agent in the room? Let's say the girl starts choking him or something. The Secret Service agent has to be right there.
Well, I got to know that. That's a real thing. How does
they could get like some Russian killer sub spy to be the date and to choke him and snap his neck,
or to give him a pill,
Now,
what happens in a case like that?
If they snap his neck?
No, I'm saying is like, does he get to be alone? Does he get to be alone with a strange girl?
I imagine the Secret Service agent's in the room. I do not think he can be alone with a girl. She could be a Russian karate expert.
Well, do you think he should call Hunter and say, how did you do it? I mean, Hunter, look at Hunter. Hunter did it.
True.
Hunter was the master of it.
Yeah.
You want coke? I got it sent to the White House. I mean, this guy, I think the first thing you got to do is get in with the Secret Service and the CIA and the FBI and say, guys, do you got my back?
It's interesting. It's an interesting thing. What happens? How did they do that?
I don't know, especially when you have a mama bear who's going to want to know everything.
Everything. I mean, look, think about it. God forbid, poo-poo a million times the president's child. Well, Air Force One, when they tried to, with the plane and tried to kill the child. But I mean, the kid has to have full Secret Service protection. I mean, you can't not. But anyway, getting back to, every rally, he for the Gen Z and all the kids and try and get the kids vote and all fight this Kamala Harris thing. I mean, I think you need Barron Trump to do a rah-rah 10-minute speech.
He would be great.
Yeah.
You know what, though?
I've never heard him talk.
I was just going to say, I say that he would be great, but I haven't really heard him yet. So maybe you know how people are pushing Kamala for an interview? Well, maybe it's time, and if he doesn't, maybe they know that he's not capable of doing it.
So, Govy, you're the problem solver. Let's make the assumption, I'm going out on a limb here. Kamala Harris will never do an interview. Kamala Harris will never do a debate. You're never going to see those two things. I just heard Corey Lewandowski's coming back to Donald Trump's campaign, which is not good news. How would you run a campaign knowing you can't go up there and
he meets great-looking girls, though, by the way. The campaign has been very good to Lewandowski.
He had that Hope Hicks, and he had that Christine Whitner, right?
The one from...
He's married with 5 kids. He bangs all these girls. Anyway, it's crazy. But what would you... Forget... crying and moaning about it. Stop the crying. What would be your campaign strategy, assuming you're never going to get an interview and you're never going to get a debate? You can't debate her.
First of all,
I'm putting you on the spot.
I try to show a lot of the videos. I try to show what she stood for. Here's a person. Look at San Francisco. All you have to say is every time she campaigns and says, when I was Attorney General. Well, wait a second. Forget that. You're jumping. She's going backwards. She was the vice president. And when she campaigns now and she says, first day in the office, I'm going to solve inflation, I would say you're still president basically for the next 6 months. Why are you putting the country through this chaos until January? Do it now. You say you could fix the border? Fix it now. Joe Biden, if you really want to push it, if something happens in this world, by the way.
Let me take the other side of it, Govy. What happens if Trump does all that and she comes out, yes, I was part of the Biden administration, and over the last 3.5 years, I've grown. I've gotten smarter. I've seen what works, and I've seen what doesn't work. I'm a different generation than Joe Biden, and my ideas will be better ideas, and I have things that I liked and things that I didn't like. I have the experience now. And what I said 8 years ago or 6 years ago, that's before I experienced being vice president of the United States and learning.
Well, that would be great, except she needs to be on the same page as the White House right now. So when you have
How about if she doesn't?
Well,
she
if
says
you have that
80 days.
Well, when you have this KJP and you have Susan Rice, who comes out, which I don't know why she did it, but she came out and said, I just want you to know Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are lockstep together. Matter of fact, she says all these policies, Harris drew up. She was behind it. She was the mastermind behind it. This is Susan Rice saying this. So there's no getting out of it that Kamala says, oh, I learned. That doesn't really fly. You don't want someone just learning. And by the way, just to say one thing, you have 80 days to go, 75 days to go. What makes you think this world is just going to be calm for 75 days? What happens if all of a sudden Iran sends a missile into Israel? What's she going to say? Wait a second, we got all these ships there. She's in charge now. Is Joe Biden in charge or is Kamala in charge? Who's in charge right now?
Barack Obama.
So if the United States fires back and helps out Israel and starts attacking Iran, is that Kamala Harris?
Is
that Kamala Harris?
Well, I don't know.
Does she say it's not me? How does she separate herself and say, no, that was really Barack Obama that made that? No.
There's a great interview of Barack Obama when he was at the end of his term, and they said, would you like a third term? Did you hear that interview?
Yeah, and he said, yeah, if I could be in the basement and do it.
Yeah, and I don't have to be out and do the public events, and I can be like a puppet master.
And he did it.
And he did it.
Right.
He did it.
Right.
And he's doing it again.
Well, he wants to do it for another. It's fun.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
You know, so he's trying to do it. So she's going to have to live up to it. She won't be able to do that. If something happens in the next 80 days, what are we going to...
I don't think Iran's attacking Israel. I just think they've been told that all their oil fields are going to get flattened. They're going to be poor and broke, and they're just going to be destroyed and decimated.
By the way, no matter what you say about her, that she learned all this thing being a vice president, and she's much better. Well, I'll tell you what she didn't learn. The first decision she had to make was the vice presidential candidate. Now, if you're trying to tell me she shouldn't have taken Shapiro that would have delivered Pennsylvania.
She choked.
By the way, Pennsylvania
This guy's a buffoon.
Pennsylvania is the crown jewel.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania and Georgia, he wins the election. Now, you take away that from him.
No, this was she needs a mulligan. She fucked up on this one.
I mean, like
she screwed up.
But that was her first. She had plenty. By the way, was she rushed? She had plenty of time. She made
Shapiro,
this decision.
there's got to be something in Shapiro's past that they had to pass over.
Choose anybody else. Choose the astronaut. Choose anybody. But you don't choose this guy.
Maybe it's the Jewish thing. I don't know. I mean, they just...
I mean, by the way, this guy, just to let you know, when he talks about being free, this is a guy that during the lockdown, if you went outside your house in Minnesota, he had the National Guard with paint guns shooting you. Like you were in your doorway. Did you see the videos of a person getting shot in the groin of a paintball thing? I mean, who does that? Who arrests a woman for 20 days she spent in jail?
Yeah, this Eric Holder, who was Obama's attorney general, he did a lousy vetting job of this guy.
Unless he did it on purpose.
Why, the tanker?
You want to know something? Sometimes, if you're building a football team, like a general manager like Howie Roseman, superstar of the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles, sometimes you got to, to rebuild a little bit, you got to come down a notch to get better. Maybe they think, Holder said, I'm not wasting Shapiro. I'm not wasting Whitmer. I'm not going to waste them on this losing train of Kamala Harris. I'll wait until 2028 when Trump's turns up, and now it's a free-for-all, and now I'm going to bring out, if you close your eyes and you listen to Shapiro talk, it's Barack Obama. Why not wait 4 years and go that way?
Well, don't you think that, Trump choked on J.D. Vance? I mean, he's not so great either. He's getting some pretty bad reviews. I mean, he could have picked a lot of... Marco Rubio, I mean, I've met Marco Rubio a whole bunch of times. He's smooth, he's slick, he's Latin. I mean, he's got a lot going for him. He's got... I mean, even Chris Christie would be as good as J.B. Vance.
Trump, for as talented he is, for a guy that is just built differently than everybody. I mean, listen, I wouldn't be able to go through all the trials he went through, 6 weeks in a thing, got shot at, all the stuff that he's done. But yet, some of the decisions...
Well, it wasn't the shot. It was afterwards when he put his hand up. He stood up bloodied and he said, fight.
Right. So he rises to the occasion on so many things. But yet, this is the same guy who chose Pence, who chose Jeff Sessions.
Yeah, he picked some bad ones.
Yeah, I mean, so he does pick some real,
He just picked Corey Lewandowski again.
So sometimes you gotta question why.
He's got to pick Kellyanne Conway again.
Well, you heard what Vance said.
What?
Let the guy go. Let him run his campaign the way he wants
That's
to.
a mistake. I mean, nobody gives a hoot about crowd size. Though you shouldn't be saying that, she's not black, she's Indian. I mean, this is stupid stuff.
Do you want to know something?
It's retarded.
You want to know something?
Do not talk about it.
If Saturday Night Live could show a skit of Trump supporters, and put me in that category. And if they showed our faces as we watch him talk, like during a debate,
oh my God!
I mean,
I can't vote for the guy.
I sit there sometimes, and when he got on talking about the crowd size, comparing himself to Martin Luther King, if everybody didn't slap your head and say, "What are you doing?"
I mean, why doesn't the guy get it?
I don't know.
Why doesn't he understand it? And
He's
Martin Luther
likable.
King, he said he had 1 million people. I only had 25,000. We analyzed the photograph. Are you kidding me? This is what you're doing? Who cares?
I'll tell you who he needs to listen to that has the right message. Nikki Haley.
She was great. I
Nikki
listened
Haley.
to her the other day.
Right. He just has to listen to her. And I hope. Oh, by the way, all it takes is the last 45 days. Come up with something like that, but don't talk about crowd size.
Well, I listened to Nikki Haley, and she was great. And they asked her if she's going to support him, and she said, "Absolutely, I'm supporting the Republican candidate for president." I can't believe the ideas of Harris and the progressive left. But they asked her, "Are you going to campaign for him?" And she said, "Absolutely, I can't." Why can't you campaign for him? She said, because he talks about some crazy stuff, and I don't want to stick my neck out there and campaign and be on a campaign trail. And somebody asked me a question. Did you hear what he just said? She's not really black. She's Indian. Well, how am I going to defend that? So she just, this is a problem for the guy.
Well, right, he touches subjects that he doesn't need to touch. But then again,
when they asked her about did you rape that girl, well, she's really not my type, and either are you. Why is he saying stuff like that?
You know what? It's because that's how he really feels. His inner voice. You know what it is? He has an inner voice that sometimes someone needs to say to him, outer voice, not inner voice. Keep that inside. Like, he talks like what your mind says. Sometimes it's like diarrhea of the mouth. And he has it. And
he says the Rocket Man, Kim Jong-un, my red button's bigger than your red button. Really? This is what you're saying? A ruthless dictator, a guy that lives in...
But when everything's said and done, you got really smart people. You got Megyn Kelly, by the way. Megyn Kelly, caught her things. She's in his corner. I mean, listen to her. She's great. Joe Rogan the other day, he's on his podcast. And he's talking about that on the Stephen Colbert show, the anchor woman from CNN, the girl Collins, or what her name is, that Caitlin Collins or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that. The good-looking girl that did the debate with him.
And all of a sudden, Stephen Colbert says, and you're on a impartial, and the crowd starts laughing. And she says, is that like a... And Stephen Colbert says, well, I guess it is a punchline now. I mean, they truly believe that they are impartial, and the whole world now knows, and the whole country knows, CNN, ABC, NBC.
They're in the tank.
They're all in the tank.
But you can't cry about it anymore, folks. It is what it is. Just fight it. Just go on and do your routine. But stop moaning and groaning. They're in the tank. It's fixed. This is the corrupt media back there. Forget it.
By the way, when we see podcasts and certain things, and I like Megyn Kelly and Joe Rogan, is there any podcast that you look at that you've watched that you disagree and you just can't believe
that I want to grab through the TV and scream?
Yeah, is there one that like?
I mean, I watch a lot of. Well, for example, there's one that's here. It's AF50. Her name is Nicole Chanis, and she's very good. She's very well prepared, and I think she works very hard. And her show, and I've asked, I've DM'd her or whatever a couple times to go on her show, but her show's about women that are 50 years old or more and single. And they sit there like us, and they bash all these guys, that the guys should, first of all, the guys lead, the conversation with their wallet. I have this kind of car, I have a boat, I have a house, I have this, I have that. Well, I mean... the women are coming out and they're saying, I don't want to work. I want to be taken care of. I want, security the rest of my life. I mean, they're telling you what you want, so I don't understand the conflict. I've never listened to the
show. Is that what they want? These are the things that
every single woman I've met from Chicago East and South, 92% of them, look, there are several women that are hardworking and successful, like this Nicole Chanis. But most of the women that I've met in my life have gotten their money the old-fashioned way. Either a divorce, their husbands passed away, they inherited it, or their father passed away, they inherited it. I mean, I just read this article. I don't want to get off the subject because we're rolling on this Trump-Harris thing. But I just read this article about down here, this hedge fund guy. His wife admittedly runs off with the tennis player. You know him, I know him. We're not going to say his name. They determine his net worth is $200 million. And he wants to move on with his life. And he says, all right, she ran off. They're married 20-some years. They have 3 kids. She runs off with the tennis instructor. Not his fault. She does. And he says, look, I have potential. I'll give you 100 of my 200 million. I'll split it in half. She hasn't worked a day in her life. He has this new hedge fund coming up. Let's call it Hedge Fund 4. It hasn't even opened yet. She said, that's not enough. I want the 100 million and half of Hedge Fund 4. Well, Hedge Fund 4 hasn't even started
Well, he
yet.
He has to work to produce.
It hasn't even started yet. She wants half of it. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, and so I'm watching this show.
I think that's brilliant on her part. That's brilliant.
No, you know. And
I mean, why not? She has a lawyer in her ear saying, do it.
Oh, my God. But anyway, you know, we could talk about AF50, watch it. It's a great show. I enjoy it.
You should be a guest on that show.
I would like to be a guest because, well, she doesn't want me as a guest because I have the whole other side. I mean, you and I, our whole life worked 100 hours a week. You know, we worked so hard, and I'm trying to figure out, you know, the woman isn't working, has never worked. You're working 100 hours a week so that your kids can graduate college without student debt and give them a nice house and a car. And, you know, on this show, they're saying the guy should hold the car door, and the guy should bring flowers, and the guy should do everything, you know, to romance. Well, you know, don't they like sex too? What is the woman? I have a housekeeper. She's not cleaning my house, okay? And, you know, she's not cooking dinner. We go out 6 nights a week. You know, what is she doing that I'm supposed to work 100 hours a week? I mean, there's no girl that's ever going to date me after this show. I mean, that I'm working 100 hours a week trying to provide a living for my kids and whatever. And, you know, what are they bringing? What is she bringing to the table that I'm supposed to be on my answer?
She's organizing her Birkin bags so they're they're lined up by color coordinated, so that way
shopping. Yeah, what are they bringing? You know, okay, you know, well,
she makes you happy. That's what she does.
I'm giving you sex.
She makes
don't you enjoy sex? I'm that shitty in bed that I must be lousy in bed.
She makes you a home. She makes it where you when
How's
you're walking.
She making me a home? My housekeeper's making it at home. The decorator furnished the home.
She looks
How
good.
What's she making?
She takes care of herself. She looks good. She wants to say to you when you come home, tell me about your day.
Don't we try and take care of ourselves?
We do.
Aren't we responsible for ourselves? Are you telling me, you know,
it's stacked against us.
I watched one show. She's saying these guys have yellow teeth. They have crooked teeth. They should go to a dentist. They have all this money. I agree. You know, you should try and take care of yourself. Go to the gym. But, you know, at my golf club there, I see all these women. They can't believe that their husbands cheated and they're 70 pounds overweight. And it's like, well, you let yourself go. You weren't paying attention to the ball. You don't want me on that show.
I would love to see you on the show now.
You don't want me on the show because I have a different point of view.
All right, so let's get back to that. We have our DNC convention coming up, and we got the protesters now that are going to be turning Chicago like 1968. And you know what? And you got Trump, and he has one good thing that he's going to say the whole time. He's going to say, because of the southern border and all these crimes, he's going to pound in every day rape and murder to all the suburban housewives out there because of these crimes that these illegals are doing that you see in New York every day. Every day there's 4 or 5 of them. So he has tons of ammunition. He could say rape, By the way, we have to build jails because it's now, if 10 million people or 15 million people came in and 1% are bad people, like he's saying, it could be 150,000 criminals and rape. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of jails. I mean, we got to be building those super max jails that we have in Colorado. And if we build them, then some of the illegal immigrants might think, hey, I don't want to go into this super max. They put me in there. No one will ever see me again.
So do you think they get a bump like Trump did out of the convention? Do you think her ratings go up, or,
Not as much as people think, because the networks will do everything they can. And she's not going to say much. It's going to be, what are you going to do? Have the Backstreet Boys singing? You're going to have...
But I don't think she's putting out any policy. I listened to a guy today and said, why should she put out any economic policy? Because they'll just tear it apart. No matter what she says.
They're going to have to.
Why? Why do you say they have to? She's winning. She's winning with
Are you saying this country is so dumb?
Yes.
That they just want to look at her and say, I don't like that guy. I like that girl. And I want her.
So
I don't care about nothing. I want her.
So my son, my oldest, he got a perfect score in his SAT, and they made him president of his. He was like a super smart kid, and they made him president of his senior class because everybody just said, let Aaron do it. I think the problem with this presidential election thing, you always pick a tall, good-looking guy. That's why you and I can never be president. Right. You know what I'm saying? Trump looks good in a suit. Joe Biden looks great in a suit. Barack Obama is a handsome guy. George Bush, he was a handsome guy. It's a personality contest. It's not who can run the best CEO of a company. The best CEO of a company looks like Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk before, or Zuckerberg or Elon Musk before his hair transplants. I mean, they're not, and it's like a beauty contest to be president.
Why can't Elon Musk interview her? By the way, do you know how many people listen to that on X?
51 million or so tried to get on it.
And then she complained that it was political and, she should have an equal opportunity. And Elon Musk said, come on.
Yeah. Let her do 2 hours with them.
And all of a sudden that got quiet. It's like sometimes it's so funny, but he should have her on the platform.
But Govy, you're a problem solver. How can we make this presidential election better? I mean, it's a beauty contest. She will not interview. She's not going to give you policy. She's just going to run in the basement. She's going to give the same pantsuit in a different color, same speech on a different platform every single day.
How do you solve this?
How do you do it?
You have Trump call up Bibi and say, I need a missile to be launched into Lebanon tomorrow, and I want to see how Kamala Harris handles this. I need one little rocket to go in there. Can you do that for me? And Bibi goes, okay, no problem.
But
how's that?
This is a beauty contest, and Trump, they have psychologically analyzed that he is going to lose his mind because she's not going to do an interview, she's not going to give you policy, and she's going to get half the votes. They're going to try and rig the election.
It won't happen. I'm going to tell you something. Like I said.
Why?
There's 80 days to go. Let me ask you.
The only way she does an interview is if she's losing.
Well, no, this won't be an interview. This is going to be something she's going to have to address. Like right now, have you followed what's going on with Ukraine and Russia?
Yeah.
Ukraine is
they're invading Russia,
and they're taking prisoners. Now Putin's already taking. Putin's not going to let this go on. Now, what happens if that gets escalated where it is on? Someone's going to have to speak. Now, does she stand?
Why?
Well, does Joe Biden not say anything?
Yeah.
So you mean the country has no one talking about an all-out war with one of the most? Get out of here.
If the press isn't going to cover it.
The press will have to cover it.
They're not covering it. Has the press told you that Russia has lost 2 million kids in this war already?
So if Russia launches a missile.
Russia loves it. The price of oil went from $60 a barrel to $85. It's $90 a barrel today. He's making so much money, he can't believe it.
So if Russia sends a missile into Kiev and takes out a condominium, of residential people.
You mean Ukraine sends one?
No,
Russia sends one
retaliates.
into Ukraine.
Now,
Okay.
Does our media not even cover that? Does Kamala Harris not say anything?
I think it's buried.
Yeah, it's not buried. Not in this world. And that's where she loses.
You look at these cities in Ukraine, they're decimated. Have you ever seen a cameraman walking around a city showing you what it looks like there? I mean, it's decimated. I don't think they come out, they show, Fox shows Joe Biden on the beach every day. You see him laying on the beach?
Not a worry in the world, really.
I just don't think they cover it.
They have to cover it. And that's what's going to happen. She's going to have to come up, and you know what she's going to do? She's going to have a brain freeze. And she's going to say something, and she's going to give a cackle. She's going to give a laugh, and it's over. She's
not going to put herself in a Joe Biden debate situation. Let me just say this. You're better off taking the penalty of people screaming you won't do an interview than doing a screwed up interview. You're better off taking the heat of she won't tell us her policies, she won't talk to the media, than give you policies that they'll tear apart, that they can play back over and over again, or the alternative. That's my view.
Listen, the debate,
there's no debate.
It was the earliest debate that they ever had, and they did it on purpose. They set him up. They set him up to fail, and it was done on purpose. This is calculating. Let's put it this way. They had to figure out a way. How do we put a person in that receives 0 votes? 0. Like, no one voted for her, ever. How do we get that person in charge? I know what we'll do. We'll let Joe go around. We'll have everybody say how sharp he is. He runs circles around us. Then we'll put him out there, and when the guy shits the bed, we'll come out 3 days later and say, what happened? This dementia thing came out like out of nowhere.
Didn't it backfire, though, because I think they wanted somewhat of an open beauty contest.
Well, that was Joe Biden got vindictive. Jill sat there in the middle of the night, tapped him on the shoulder and said, Joe, we got to, you can't go down like this. You got to do something and give Barack a little shove back. And she said, I tell you what we're going to do, Joe. You're going to pick Kamala Harris. They want her, give it to her that they have no choice. And they screwed. By the way, Barack Obama wanted Kelly. And he wanted it to be an open convention, and he wanted the astronaut to go. And Joe Biden said no.
Well, look, we're going to find every day, every week goes by, we're going to find out.
Hunter Biden's case is coming up, his trial. By the way, something you haven't mentioned. This Marchand, this judge in New York, he might sentence.
He's going to sentence him to a month or two.
Come on, September 15th. This is 2
It'll
days.
be crazy.
By the way,
so let me give our 300,000 guests some background.
Okay.
Trump is supposed to get sentenced by this crooked judge in New York
2 days before before that you're allowed to vote
start
by
voting
mail.
in September 18th or what is it,
by
14th? Yeah,
by the big state.
Yeah. So anyway, he's supposed to get his sentence. Now, his sentence can range from a year in jail to no time, slap on the wrist. And report immediately. And my prediction from the beginning was he's going to get a house arrest. Can you imagine if they lock him up 2 months before the election, he can't campaign?
Andy McCarthy thinks he's getting locked up right on the spot.
That'll be insane. That's like Russia. That's like communist country.
And then they think
I'm not for Trump, but if they happen.
And then they think that they'll let him go, but they want him to have that on his record, that he was convicted.
Do you really think they can lock him up?
Well, he looks
like house arrest. They're not going to put him in a prison, but he
doesn't seem worried. But a lot of people are like, this guy's a nut, this judge.
Hey, I've been, I've been in a lot of courtrooms in my life, and I've seen judges. A good friend of mine was a federal judge. He used to walk around with a gun. They can do anything. They have the power. I mean, it's crazy.
Now, that will be something, won't it?
Oh, my God, that would be insane. So before we go, Govy, let's talk real fast the Dallas Cowgirls. Football's starting. I think college football's this week, right?
It's this week. Gambling's going to be
kicking up. Coming back. We're going to start gambling again.
Yeah, wait until you see some of this crazy stuff with college football. People don't even know who's on what team now because of the portal. That'll be something. You got Jerry Jones, who's just...
They just valued Dallas Cowgirls at $10.6 billion.
He says Cowgirls because he's an Eagles fan, and that's just something that's inbred with us that we have to call them the Cowgirls.
But 10.6, he paid $140 million for the team back, in the 80s, I guess. That's not chicken feed. It was a lot of dough back then, but now it's worth $10.6 billion. And, you sit there watching his son, Steve Jones, and you're like saying to yourself, what a lucky dude. I mean, your dad owns the Cowgirls, and you're going to inherit this team?
At a certain point, he has to say, Dad, we need a general manager.
I think he's the general manager.
Jerry Jones is.
Oh, it's not Steve Jones?
Well, that's Jerry Jones is calling all the shots, and it's like, he says such stupid things.
Well, they have that Dak Prescott. I mean,
They have CeeCee Lamb. They have the best wide receiver holding out.
But they choke every year. I mean, they just choke.
The weather guy in one of the competing cities, it's 90 degrees for the next 10 days, actually in Texas, and he says, they're peaking like the Cowboys of the 90s, mid 90s. That's how they.
So another podcaster in town, Skinny Joe, on his show does a lot of picks. Love Skinny Joe from Philly. Good guy, great guy. A little snuff.
How does he do with his picks?
I think that last year at the end of the season he was doing really well, and you had some great picks, Govy. Right. That's why I brought it up. I was just curious who you think's going to go all the way. Is it going to be Kansas City? Who wins the Super Bowl this year? You're calling it early. Make a call.
I think it's going to be Eagles Buffalo in the Super Bowl.
Eagles, they choked. They lost the last.
They are a completely different team.
How are they a different
San
team?
Francisco's in
same coach. They say the quarterback and the coach.
We got a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. We got 6 new players. We are ready to win. We got Barkley. We got a running back.
Oh, come on. The coach and the quarterback hate
Everybody
each
else
other.
went down. So all you have to do is stay even or get a little bit better. San Francisco got worse.
You're like the typical bettor that bets your hometown team and loses every week.
I'm not a homer. I think they're playing Buffalo.
I like Buffalo. Buffalo the last couple of years has been amazing.
Right.
Buffalo's great. Shout out to my Rochester buddies. Buffalo's great.
And Jess Pagula, I'm back on the boat, Jess. I just want you to know that.
That's funny. But you think Eagles and Buffalo. How about Kansas City? Fat Andy Reid.
They're not going to win 3 in a row.
Gotta hate Andy Reid.
And then he's okay. I got my Andy Reid stories, but save that for another time.
Does he buy watches?
No, but he comes in. Him and his wife came in. She's very nice.
He's rich. I mean, he makes like $15 million a year.
He can't control his household, though.
That's true. 2 of his kids are in jail. One's in jail. One's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. What a mess. All right. So Buffalo. You think Buffalo's going to bring it? And how about the Phillies finishing the season?
We're leaking oil right now. We're leaking oil, and the Philly fans, man, this stadium, how great the fans are. They start to boo a little bit, but luckily, the Miami Marlins and Washington Nationals came just at a nick of time for us to get. But
all 6,000 people that go to those games.
We're leaking oil quickly right now.
But I always watch them, when they hit a batter. Do you think that's intentional?
Yes. After a guy does it, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's done.
I mean, they hit the 100-mile-an-hour fastball hitting you in the ribs. I mean, that has to rock you. You don't think so?
It does. And you look, Harper, when he got hit, he was out for 2 months. It broke his wrist. How about Hoskins, when he got hit in the jaw, he was out 2 months.
So somebody throws a fastball at you 100 miles an hour and hits you right in your arm or whatever, and you think it's wrong for you to go out there with the bat and start swinging? The guy just hit you.
I don't know. I got to tell you something. Reminds me of one story, though, about beanballs and stuff. There was a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates in the early 70s. His name was Doc Ellis. And the guy took a hit of mescaline. He was tripping during the game.
Good God.
He threw a no-hitter.
That's amazing.
And they asked him, how did you do that? He said, the home plate looked like it was as big as an ocean. As big as an ocean. And he zeroed in. How and he zeroed in and he was able to focus on this plate that looked like it was so big.
That is insane.
And he threw a no-hitter tripping on acid.
That is insane. Anyway, Govy, 48 minutes. Our show's over. What a fun show. We talked about everything under the sun. Next week, we'll talk about the Democratic National Convention. That'll be fun.
Looking forward to it.
All right, folks. Have a great day.
See ya.